Chapter 28. In the Quiet.
The city outside Rita Teasdale's apartment moved like a distant memory. Muffled car horns, faint laughter, the low hum of life continuing without pause. But inside, wrapped in the dim, early morning hush of her fourth-floor walk-up, the air was heavier, denser. She sat alone at the edge of her bed, a cotton robe draped loosely around her shoulders. Her hair was still tousled from the night before, but the mirror across the room showed a face that wasn't flushed with passion anymore. It was a face clouded with questions. Behind her, the business suit bent and wrinkled from where Reggie Birmingham had pressed his firmness against her inner thigh, his scent lingering in the fabric, a mixture of sandalwood and deodorant soap. The same scent she'd come to recognize from a dozen courtroom battles when they'd stood toe-to-toe as opposing counsel. But last night, they hadn't been adversaries. They'd been something else, something far more vulnerable. Rita let out a breath, slow and uneven. Her fingers ran over her lips, as if trying to trace back the moment everything shifted, from verbal sparring in a packed courtroom to surrendering to her passion with him in the dark. What the hell had they done? Professionally, Reggie was her equal before the bar, her foil, a charming bulldog of a criminal defense lawyer who could manipulate a jury like a magician. They danced around each other for years, snide remarks, long looks, late-night strategy calls that blurred the lines between personal and professional. But they had always kept it clean, always kept it controlled. Until last night, she remembered the heat in his voice as they left the courthouse after that brutal hearing, the kind where justice felt more like theater than truth. The tension had escorted her through the revolving doors, down the block, and straight into the taxi that delivered her to the threshold of his apartment. And then it was skin on skin, mouths pressed in the quiet, hands finding answers to questions they hadn't dared to speak aloud. Rita shook her head, annoyed at how easily it had all happened. She wasn't the type to let her guard down. And Reggie? He was supposed to be a line she never crossed, still knocking in her head. Reggie, standing shirtless, stroking at her mind like he belonged there. Like this wasn't going to destroy whatever fragile understanding they'd built in the courtroom. She stood and padded barefoot across the hardwood floor. "I've made a potentially career-ending decision," she said dryly. What happens now? Could she just pretend that last night didn't mean anything? Maybe it was just two people blowing off steam. Or maybe it was something more. Rita was not ready to call it either way. She took a long sip of coffee to hide the flicker of disappointment. "I can't afford messy," she told herself. "Not in court, not in my career. You know how this city talks. One wrong move, and everything I've built becomes a joke." She stood at the window for a long time, watching the morning light crawl across the buildings. Was it just sex? Or was it the beginning of something neither of them was ready for? Rita didn't have the answer. But for the first time in a long while, she wasn't sure she wanted one.